this was going to be a hell of a story. This was going to be a great success story, a great success story waiting to happen. And it didn't work out that way for Mike Nolan. Mike Fisher reporting from Frisco, home of your Dallas Cowboys, where Football Outsiders has created its list of NFL head coaches and coordinators who performed at the very bottom of their profession in 2020. And as you might imagine, pulling up the rear is Mike Nolan. Now, some background here, first of all. We never really got a chance to get to know Mike Nolan here. Again, the COVID, and then what became Zoom meetings and all the rest, WebEx meetings for the Cowboys, made it all very impersonal for everybody in my profession, and then to some degree for you guys too. But it could have been a heck of a story. We did know Mike Nolan's dad, Dick, longtime NFL coach, and was with the Cowboys when I first came here in 1990. In my conversation with Mike when he first came here, he revealed to me that his mom is retired here and that this was kind of home for him, kind of a homecoming for him. He was excited to come to one of his, again, he's the son of an NFL coach, and he's an NFL coach himself, so there is no real hometown. You kind of move around, but he looked at Dallas that way. And then it all went to crap, really right away, to the point where now it is a most dubious distinction, and it's not completely fair, because what happened with the 2020 Dallas Cowboys was not solely the blame and the fault of the now departed coordinator, Mike Nolan. But he held the title, and he got the axe, and now he gets the distinction. Football Outsiders creating its list of the worst coaches in the 2020 NFL season. Adam Gase of the Jets, he's at the bottom. Matt Patricia of the Lions at the bottom. Both those guys now no longer employed with those clubs. And then Mike Nolan was the assistant with the highest percentage of votes as the worst. Now, the numbers are inarguable. And you know the numbers. Dallas was ranked as the fifth worst defense in the NFL by some standards. For most of the season was, by the numbers, the poorest scoring defense in franchise history. By the time we got to the end of that debacle, the Cowboys finished 6-10. They allowed the most points in franchise history, 473, I think that's right. They finished 31st in the league in run defense. They did not stop the run. They did not stop the pass. They did not sack the quarterback. They did not keep you out of the end zone, and they did not win games. And then Mike Nolan, one of head coach Mike McCarthy's closest friends, was dismissed. History's not going to treat Mike Nolan well here, because all of this, all of the numbers we just recited, are going to create the impression forevermore that Mike Nolan was the problem, and that Mike Nolan is a bad coach. I will tell you this, and I've had this conversation with a few people now over the course of the last couple months. And one of the things they said is Mike Nolan is, of all the guys that have been in coaching for a while, you can find the most people way over here on Mike Nolan saying he really is a genius at what he does. And you can find the most people over here saying he had no idea what he's doing. The distance between these two perspectives is as large in terms of the opinion of any coach I've ever covered. Never quite heard that before. Usually people can kind of agree, no, he's great. He's not good at this, and this, but he's great. Or, yeah, he's not a very good teacher, or he's not very good with X's and O's, or he's not a people person, or whatever. But Mike Nolan, it was either way over here or way over here. But it's more than stats. It is about opinions, too. And then I think it's important so we can learn not to do it again. And I'm talking about we being the Cowboys. Learn not to do it again, and maybe the public and the media too. This wasn't just Mike Nolan who screwed up the 2020 Cowboys defense. It wasn't even close to just Mike Nolan. Item. The Jones family decided that Dallas's defense should be more like New England's. Remember? And more multiple. Remember? Now, that sounds good. Hey, let's just do everything the way Bill Belichick does it. It's a great idea. I wonder, though, if Belichick doesn't draft and sign people in New England that are very specific to that role. Not only specific to versatility, we're a 4-3, we're a 3-4, we're going to change every possession, and they do, but also draft people who intellectually are good at that, can handle that, because that can be a load. And you should take that in consideration when you're deciding you're going to do that on defense. Not to mention just skill sets. For instance, Tank Lawrence's skill set is not as a 3-4 end. It doesn't make any sense. They took their best player and didn't play to his strengths. So let's just be more multiple. That was a Jones thing. That didn't work. Item. I think in Mike McCarthy's job interview, when the Joneses said, we want this, I think Mike McCarthy said, yes, I can do that. And then Jerry said, we really want this. And then McCarthy said, yep, I'm good at that too. Then Steven said, we want to be more multiple on defense. Oh yeah, that's me. I'm not sure it matters if any of those things were actually true. I think Mike McCarthy, like many of us, all of us, you're in a job interview and they say, hey, how are you at quantum physics? Oh yeah, I took that in college when I was a freshman. Hey, what do you know? How many words per minute can you type? Oh yeah, a lot. We all do that. McCarthy promised that they could be multiple. And then sat down in a press conference, or not in a press conference setting, sat down in a let's have a beer setting. And I asked him about 4-3 versus 3-4, and he said, we're going to be 4-3. And then they weren't. And then the players said, hey, what are we doing? We don't understand what you're trying to have us do here. What you're trying to have us do here doesn't make sense, and you're not teaching it very well. That's not just Nolan. McCarthy hires Nolan essentially without conducting any interviews. He was interested in Joe Witt and Nolan and didn't interview either one of them. He had carte blanche from the Joneses. Hire whoever you want. It's your baby. We love you. It's your baby. So he hired one of his best friends. Didn't interview. You'll notice the Joneses fixed that mistake this year. I believe they interviewed a quartet of coordinator candidates, and as we reported here, exclusive, a front office representative sat in on every single one of them, either Jerry or Steven or Will McClay. No more carte blanche this time. And they end up hiring Dan Quinn, who is not a crony of McCarthy. He's not a McCrony. And then they got Joe Witt too, who is a crony, but bridges the gap because he's a McCarthy guy and a Quinn guy. Good deal. In a way, they hired two defensive coordinators. Good for McCarthy, good for the Joneses. But hire whoever you want without interviewing him? Bad idea. That wasn't Nolan's fault. What's he supposed to do? Say no? Hey, Mike, I want you to come be my defensive coordinator. Well, no, I think I should interview first. I'd like to have Jerry and Steven and Will McClay grill me first. No, you say yes. I get to come home to Dallas? Be by my retired mom? Yeah, let's go. Item. It was Jerry and Steven and McCarthy that okayed all of the ridiculous notions that went into the installation of a new defensive system without the benefit of even getting to know the players in a face-to-face way. This is a story that we broke here. I tried to write this like it was straight news, but it was so outrageous to me that I must say I put a pinch of pepper in there. It was just outrageous. We're such good teachers, we're going to install a brand new defensive system. New terminology, new positions, new alignments, new formations, all of it. And we're not even going to meet you to do it. We're just going to teach it to you over the internet. That's outrageously arrogant. And as I've said, arrogant and ignorant. WebEx. WebEx is your friend. Zoom is your friend. But it's not as good a friend as sitting in a classroom and then going out on the grass and doing it. It cannot replicate that. What's so weird is, one of the first things McCarthy did is say, we're going to leave the offense the way it is, by and large. That the coaching staff is going to learn their terminology. Why didn't you do that on defense? Item. When defensive players complained, first inside the star, and only later whispered publicly about the complicated switch to a 3-4 defensive scheme. It wasn't just Nolan who didn't listen. Mike McCarthy didn't listen. He did not have an open door to players saying, Coach, this is dumb. He was not receptive to that. Was not. Until everything finally collapsed in such a way that Mike McCarthy had to hold a press conference to announce that he is newly open to it. And then they finally oversaw some alterations that improved the unit's performance a little bit, though not enough to save the job of a coach who has a long history of being perfectly capable. Whether you like him over here or hate him over here, Mike Nolan's got a long history of being a capable NFL coach. But now he's got a crappy imaginary trophy that he has to put on his mantle. Let this be a lesson to the Cowboys' future. Complete overhauls of everything. Bad idea. Saying that you're going to fit the scheme to the talent and then doing the opposite, bad idea. Giving complete carte blanche without a system of checks and balances, bad idea. And then ultimately, frankly, thinking, oh, we fired Mike Nolan, the worst coach in the NFL last year, worst assistant in the NFL last year. Now everything's fixed. Not that easy either. Fish. Out.